Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to call the June 11th, 2026 meeting of the Fairfax County Architectural Review Board to order. At the beginning of the meeting, we do have to handle a motion or two. We don't have anyone participating remotely, so first, public comment time limitations. The ARB needs to determine how long each member of the public will be able to speak during the public comment periods. The public will be allowed to comment after the consent agenda items and after each action item as a standard ARB practice. Motion, Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Chairman, I move that each member of the public have 3 minutes to speak.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Orr. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. This meeting is being recorded, and the recording will be posted online within 10 days. As a standard ARB practice and tradition, we read the statement of purpose and intent of historic overlay districts, and Mr. Pompey has kindly agreed to do that.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Historic overlay districts are created for the purpose of promoting the general welfare, education, economic prosperity, and recreational pleasure of the public through the perpetuation of those general areas or individual structures and premises that have been officially designated by the Board of Supervisors as having historical, cultural, and architectural or archaeological significance. Regulations within such districts are intended to protect against destruction of or encroachments upon such areas, structures, and premises, to encourage uses which will lead to their continuance, conservation, and improvement in a manner appropriate to the preservation of the cultural, social, economic, political, architectural, and archaeological heritage of the county, to prevent creation of environmental influences adverse to such purposes, and to ensure that new structures are used and uses within such districts will be keeping with the character to be preserved and enhanced.
Thank you, Mr. Pompey. Next, we need to approve our agenda. And does anyone have a motion regarding approval? Mr. James.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve the agenda for the June 11th, 2026 meeting, noting the removal of item 2 from the agenda at the written request of the applicant.
Is there a second? Second by Ms. Orr. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries and the agenda is approved as modified. Applicants, I please ask you to limit project presentation times to 8 minutes for first submission. And if you're here for resubmission, 3 minutes focusing on what has changed since the last time you presented to the board. Mary Catherine, I guess, to introduce our witness. Okay. We have no consent calendar action items this evening, so that brings us into our items for action. Our first item for action is ARB 2026 MV 00026, located at 2113 Mason Hill Drive, Alexandria, in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District. The applicant proposes to demolish the existing deck and build a larger deck, and Brooke Williams represents the application.
Mr. Chairman.
Hi, everybody.
And Ms. Williams, I'm sorry, before you start, I have to recognize Mr. Burns to read a statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, John Burns, declare my personal interest in transactions brought before the Architectural Review Board involving the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District, and specifically state the following for the June 11th, 2026 ARB meeting. Although it is the opinion of the county's attorney's office that I am not legally required to make a formal disclosure statement, I am making this statement regarding action item ARB 2026 MV 00026 at 2133 Mason Hill, in the interest of transparency to avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest. I own and reside in a home in the Holland Hills HOD. The properties under consideration tonight are not adjacent to or visible from my property. I have not worked with or received a gift or benefit from anyone associated with these projects. Accordingly, I am able to participate in the transaction fairly, objectively, and in the public interest. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. This way.
John, we're glad you're here. All right, everybody, we are glad to be back. This is our 3rd visit to the board, and it's lovely to see you all again. This is hopefully will be our last visit for a while. It is the final part of our project. You can go ahead and skip forward. Our home sits in Holland Hills, as you've heard. It's on Mason Hill Drive. The original house was by Charles Goodman, of course, and then we had a Northwest addition by Tom Curtins in 1975. So all we are here to talk about is taking down, I had to chuckle when it said demolish the existing deck. The existing deck is starting to demolish itself. So it is in dire need of replacement. So it is replacing the deck and expanding it by a little bit. Next slide. This is the current elevation of our home, the northeast and the northwest, I think technically. You can see the completed addition. You might be able, if you peer in, see some boxes still because we were done late fall and finally moved in. So we're finally back in the house. So that's the current view of the deck. The current deck is rotting and it needs to be replaced. I mean, that is a given. They use T11 to enclose the deck, which is also rotting, and that is the barrier. So that also is a safety hazard. In addition to the fact that if you were to walk under a deck, we don't have a picture of it, but at some point, not us, somebody sistered in boards. So the original boards are all rotted. The sistered in boards are starting to go. It is in pretty bad shape. As I already mentioned, the first phase of our construction is finished. We did not include this original project because, as you all might remember, we had been out of our home for 2 years. We were we desperately needed to get back into our house. And if we had added this deck on at that point, it would have delayed it again. And we had to get back in. So we decided to make it a phase 2. Yeah, that's it. So the proposed deck is modest in scale. It is basically the same view. If anything, it is a reduced view from the street. It remains subordinate to the house. It's compatible with the architectural character, materials, and overall appearance of the historic overlay district, which we support as a household. And the project will drastically improve the functionality and safety of the property while minimizing the visual impact of the surrounding area. And the minimization of the visual impact comes, even though the deck does come out a little bit further, we are changing the railing. We are going to do open wire railing, so you will be able to see the home. And the deck coming out a little bit further changes kind of the viewpoint from the street and actually makes the house more visible. I will say that, you can go to the next slide. We use this deck. You probably don't remember, you see a lot of homes and a lot of floor plans, but our house originally also had a screened-in porch. That was part of the addition by Tom Kearns. We changed that screen-in porch. A lot of people were like, why do you want to lose it? Because we never used it. This we use all the time. This is where our family, it is essentially another family room for our home, which is, there's 2 reasons why we want to push it out a little bit, but one of them is that we need more space out there. We need to be able to have a table where we can eat and an area where our 2 children can play. But we believe that the design preserves the visual prominence of the main structure. Like the current deck, it is visible from the street. That's what you see now when you look at our house from a certain angle. But we are designing it and we are doing the open railing to reduce that visual impact and to not overwhelm or distract from the house. We are using materials and detailing appropriate to the property, modern, discreet, subtle, and it does not remove or alter any contributing historic elements. So here are the 2 footprints, as you can see. So the original is on the left, the proposed deck is on the right. We are changing, and this is quite important to us actually, at the moment, when you walk up to our house, particularly because we added a door on the addition that we put downstairs, but always it's been a little bit of an issue. It's kind of unclear how to get to our front door, right? You walk up and the steps actually point right now toward the bamboo. They point toward our neighbor's house. So the new deck will have steps that come down and then turn toward the front so that when you walk up to the home, it's very clear where you're going to enter to get to the front door. You can go to the next deck. Here are the existing and proposed deck with the railing. This railing is drawn a little bit heavier. We have a picture of what we propose to use. So it's a little bit heavier than it will actually be. But as you can see, it's no longer blocking the house in the same way. And then I think maybe the final image. One more. Oh, this is just that it falls within the zoning requirements. It shows the property lines, and then the next, which I think is the final one. Right, this is what we propose. So the drink rail on the top, we are it's going to be a little bit simpler, but this is the best picture that we could find for you all. And then we will use these very thin vertical railings as the balusters. That's it. That's all we have.
Thank you. Any members of the public wish to comment on this? Cool. All right, members of the board, questions and comments? Mr. Kalinsky and then Mr. Lumpy.
Would it be possible to backtrack to the plat?
Sure.
Can we enlarge that? I just don't have that as part of my submission materials.
Yeah.
Does anybody else
Was
have that?
it wasn't in the submission material?
Submission.
No. Oh, we can certainly send it to you. I thought it was.
How close does the deck come to the front line? There's a 49-foot,
I believe that I believe that it is 32 feet.
32 feet. And assuming the setback is 30 feet. Is that-
That's my understanding. You know, the house, I don't know, I mean, it sits at an angle on the street, so we're very grateful. It's not something you think of, or we didn't think of anyway when we bought the house. But the house is uniquely private, the way it sits on the piece of property. So, you know, when you are driving past, you know, nobody ever looks sort of directly into anywhere in the house, and the deck really complements that, if you will. I mean, it just sort of sits there.
Jonathan, can you go back to the rail?
I think the rail is the last one. Yeah.
And you said the drink rail on the top is different. How,
Well, we haven't finalized that design, but this one is, you can see how it juts out really, really wide. And so I don't know that we'll leave it that wide is all I meant. Yeah, there has to be a drink rail at the top.
Does that answer you?
yes.
Okay, Mr. Plumpy.
On your construction drawings, you have the old picket design in here as opposed to the photograph that you showed is the vertical wire cable. It still has a 2x2 wood post on your detail sheet in your architectural drawings, just FYI. So,
Sorry, Jim, that's what's throwing me off. I'm looking at that and I'm looking at
And it-
something different.
And it had,
And you're saying it's even thinner with a different top rail, which
Really
kind of
what it
gets,
is.
which kind of gets to an issue that we've had here is when things have been presented and they're like, well, kind of like that, not like this. What we're trying to do is know exactly what's being
No,
proposed so that we can make
yeah,
a decision whether it's appropriate or not. And that's,
I don't have a copy of what our architectural draftsperson drew, but she put in the sort of picket. And I think it was because she didn't have another option she put in the sort of thicker wood. It looks like thicker wood pieces, right? That has never been envisioned to have like thick wood balusters. That wouldn't be, in our opinion, I know many people in our neighborhood have it, but it wouldn't be, in our opinion, compatible with our home, and it's not what we would want. So we do want even here, they're drawn, you know, I guess you can see them. I don't know, they're drawn sort of thicker and maybe give the impression that they're metal or something a little bit thicker.
So.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, on page or A0003, it gives some detail on the railing and the guard and baluster, metal baluster, but I didn't, sorry, Steve, to cut you off on there, but I just want to point out being there that I think that's what also threw me off is I recognize that sometimes graphically it's hard to represent that material. But in here, it also doesn't feel consistent in the plan detail for me to truly understand what it is. It seems to say, if I'm reading it correctly, it's just consists of metal balusters or spindles. And I feel like that's not specific enough.
Instead of the wires. I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
we
I'm
could-
sorry we didn't catch
yeah, right.
that when we reviewed
We're
it.
pulling up the
Yeah.
submission package for you.
Oh, thank you. I can promise you that what we are doing are the wires.
well,
I see part of it is they pulled the detail off of typical deck details for
Yes.
Fairfax County. It shows that handrail as that wood.
Is it this?
Yeah, that guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this shows, I can see now, it shows these are wood, I assume spindles or something like that. Yeah.
Because they are real picky about what their handrails you know, if it's something that is different from what they have or what they've got in their list, they want to see information on it. So they really do want, I mean, it matters to them. If you're not using their typical detail, if you're going to do something else, that they want to know, because it's got to be tested and blah, 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 you know.
For the permitting process?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know if you can tell, but I don't think we've received any comments from you probably can't tell. Yes, I take that on. Yeah, that they will want to see the detail. That's fine.
Yeah, Mr. Burns. then
We're in a situation where I understand what your intention is, but we keep finding ourselves here where at some point, you're not going to be there to tell the people who are reviewing it that, well, that's not what we want. We really want something else. We kind of keep running into this issue with people bringing stuff in and it's not fully developed.
Mhm.
And we're making a judgment on that based on assumptions, and then something else gets built, and it's happened time and time again. So that's why I'm bringing these things up, because it's hard for me to judge what I'm actually approving.
Yeah, understood. If I could ask a clarifying question, is something getting built that is different than what the person standing in front of you is saying they're going to build because maybe they were, I don't know, misleading, or maybe they didn't,
You could have the best intentions, but your contractor interprets it differently because what he sees isn't what you told us in the
Yeah,
meeting.
and then it's not
And that
enforceable.
communication never
Yeah, well,
coincides. That's why the graphic representation is so important.
sure. I understood. You don't know me, so you don't know, but we will have wire railing. We will not have anything but the wire railing that we
But in your
represent.
drawings, it doesn't say wires, it says spindles, which is different than wires, so there's a lot of conflicts here.
Right. In Fairfax County, if it's something that you're creating, you have to prove that it meets a certain weight and blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's why people buy things that have already been tested, and the county can say, oh, I see this railing type has been tested for those loads.
Mhm.
So that is going to be a sticking point for them. If you can't call out, this is, Johnny whatever's, and here's the testing and whatever.
Yeah, I don't
They're gonna
have the name,
expect
I don't have the name of the brand that we're installing, but we are not inserting wires ourselves into the wood railing.
But I'm just
We
saying,
have,
the
yeah,
county really would
I
like that to
understood.
be, because
Yeah.
that's a health and safety issue.
Of course. I mean, we have a small child. We don't want anybody falling through the railing.
Exactly.
That's why we're not doing it horizontal, actually.
Yes, exactly. So most people, in many cases in Holland
Yes.
Hills, there's the horizontal wire railing. And we have experienced many times, we've seen children, climbing up the wire railing, and we do not want that.
Yeah.
He's asleep now, kind of, but
We
usually.
have Mr. Burns, Ms. Hammock, and then Ms. Renetti.
Yes, please.
Okay, following up on some of what's already been said, in the standard details for decks, there's all sorts of knee braces visible, none of which show in your renderings of what you're proposing to construct. So again, as a number of people pointed out, we have a discrepancy between what you're giving to us verbally
Okay.
and what we're seeing in the written document, which is what will be reviewed by the county officials
Mhm.
before issuing a permit. So the problem I see is I don't see that we can approve this design as it is, because what you're telling us that it will be is not what we're seeing on the paper.
Okay.
And so I
And knee
That's a
braces,
big
knee
problem.
braces
Knee
are the
braces.
bracing underneath.
yeah,
Mhm.
you can go to the standard detail sheet.
I just want to make sure I understand what the knee braces are.
They form triangles at the underside of the deck, top of a post.
The bracing under the deck.
Can you go to the?
Sorry, it takes Jonathan a minute to navigate the document they're set because of the size they are.
Last page.
On this page?
Yeah, it's the last page.
A0006.
Last page of the presentation that we received.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
They almost look like brackets. We are.
There,
Yes, at the top.
Which I can't zoom in.
Is it these?
Those,
Yeah.
right. Those are given as standard details, which I assume the county would assume that your contractor would put in. Those do not show in any of your renderings. So are those in or out? I mean, you would have to size the
Well, we
members
won't, we can't build
differently.
a deck with those, Mr. Burns. I mean, the deck would fall down. Those are, I mean,
Okay,
So they need
but
to be
again, we
in
have the discrepancy between
I see. So the renderings are
standard
incomplete.
details
That's what I mean.
versus the rendering that was presented versus your verbal description of things. It, as I think Mr. Klinsky said, it doesn't all add up. And so I couldn't see myself voting to approve this because of those inconsistencies and the detail of the information.
But let me make sure I understand. These, which are required on a deck to make sure it doesn't fall down. Can you go back to the slide, please? The problem is, and back one more. I just want to make sure I understand the issue because we're going to have to go back to the person who drew these for us. Because these are not shown here, you feel like you cannot approve. Okay.
That's a contributing factor. The other thing, you've described this house as sitting, it's almost at a 45-degree angle to the street,
Yes,
right?
almost. Yeah.
And so where this deck comes out, as it gets closer to the street, because the topography, since the house sits up slightly, and this deck comes out at what you might call second floor level. As it gets closer to the street, it becomes, I don't know how else to describe it, like the prow of a ship. You know, it becomes more and more prominent. So I'm very, very grateful that you're going to put a highly transparent railing on it. Because otherwise, I think you would just have this big, blank wall.
Yeah, we kind of do already, right? We kind of already do have a, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a concern that I would have. I'm also concerned about the standard guidance that we have that no addition should be deferential to the original house.
Mhm.
And the facade that this extends from, it literally doubles the width.
Mhm.
And so this is a very large deck.
It is.
And
Well, it is a larger deck than what we have. We already have quite a large deck.
yes, but it takes your front, you can just see it in the drawing. You can see it takes the front width of the part of the house that most closely faces the street. And yeah, can you get rid of that thingy, that black thing?
Yeah, I mean, while he's bringing that up, Ms. Burns, I do understand what you're saying. And I think, I don't know if you've been past our house recently, but.
I walked by it this morning.
Did you? Wonderful. So it is true that corner will come out. What I don't think, at least I wouldn't characterize it as kind of, yes, while it comes out, this is a view looking down, which I think makes it very clear that it's coming out further. But when you are looking at it, it is basically at street level because there is the little bit of hill, right? So the home sits on a hill. You are going down the hill. Our house is there. You're going down. The sidewalk's across from the house, so presumably you're on the sidewalk. But you look across, and it is not that our house, that this deck is on the second story from the line that you are looking at on the street because of how the house sits, right? There's a little bit of hill. You have to walk up a little hill to get to our house. And then the house kind of sits down and very lovely has a flat property all the way around then off of the ground floor. But when you're looking at the front door or the front entrance of the house, if you can get past our cars, which there's a driveway right in front of it, but if you can get past that, you're not looking up and seeing like a deck coming out, even though now it's all blocked off and you can't see the house as well. You are seeing, you are looking at it just like I'm looking at you all, sort of the line of sight is not kind of up, it is more even. Just, that's the only point that I would differ on in your characterization. So I don't think that it is going to be a situation where and I wouldn't want in my home to have the deck sort of coming out, overpowering the yard and the street as people walk by and you can't see this home that we spent a considerable amount of, time and effort and money to remodel and we are very happy with. We just want a deck that allows us to enjoy it, also allows us, you don't see it here, but when we did this remodel, we had to move the HVAC units. They are now here. And right now you walk up, you know, the original steps and the HVAC units are right there. And we want to be able to bring these steps out so that our guests aren't walking up right next to the unit. I didn't mention this, but it is very important to us to have stairs going to the backyard. And so, you know, we spent a lot of time thinking about, like we did with our remodel, thinking about the deck and how it would sit with the house.
I have Ms. Hammack and Mr. Petty. Ms. Williamson, I would say, I think you may be able to tell from comments that I think that there is some struggle to approve tonight. But if others have some comments that I think are different about other concerns, because I want to make sure that there's,
Yeah, we would
'Cause if-
certainly like them all.
right, because if we're going to come back and defer or whatever, we're going to
I'll
do,
try to
make sure
keep
it's
it
all out
brief.
there.
Drawing A004, I wish that the two elevations were aligned because then we would see more clearly that the deck is almost, I mean, I don't have a ruler, but it looks to me from counting dash lines that it's 4 times as long than what's there currently. And
It's twice. It's twice. If you go back, I mean, I walked it.
004,
Let us switch
004.
back to the submission. You're in the presentation. This is the present. Here we go.
Okay,
Yeah, you
the
gotta
one
get
with
more
the
job.
2 elevations? Northwest elevation?
September, this one.
Okay. Anyway, when you come back, what I would like to see is a numerical number of how far the porch currently projects from the face of the chimney and how far the proposed porch will project from the face of the chimney, a numerical
Face of the
number.
Chimney, okay.
Okay, I think that chimney it's, anyway. The other thing I'm concerned about is that we don't regulate landscaping, and although you think about your home as what you and your family would like to do, I think about your home as what you, the next owner, the next owner, the next owner might want to do with it. And once we approve this porch, you know, it lives forever with this home until someone changes it. And when I look at Google Earth and go back to when your property was for sale with Long and Foster, the date is 2012, the landscape is very different. The trees are clear. It almost looks like a putting ground.
So our home was never for sale with Long and Foster, and
Is this
we
not your
bought it in 2018.
Is this your property?
Like, ma'am, I can't see from here, unfortunately. I
Is this
turned
the right
50 on
property?
Monday.
That's it.
Yeah. So I don't know what listing you're looking at, but we bought our home.
I'm not looking at any listing. I'm looking at Google Earth, and you can switch the date in Google Earth. I'm in October 2012.
Okay.
Okay, so when the landscape is different, you can clearly see this elevation, and the deck is going to read clearly different. It's going to read differently than it does now.
Can I
So-
approach your computer so I can see
Sure,
it?
sure.
Because it's not,
Sure. So just, I personally think the deck.
that is not at all what our front yard looks like now.
I know, I know.
I just want to make that
I
clear to
know,
you.
I know.
right?
We
Yeah.
don't regulate landscaping,
Okay,
so the
exactly.
next owner could change the landscaping and choose to keep your deck. And then the neighborhood would be looking at it from a different viewpoint than what you're presenting today. So, you know, I like to approve changes that are appropriate under various visibilities from public right of way, not from driveways or neighbors, but from the street. So I think your deck is, I don't know, I think it's a concern that it projects a lot from the face of the chimney, and just wondering, like, you have a patio in the back, does it not work to extend off the back and create more outdoor living space for your family?
So we have a pretty developed backyard with a very lovely play set for our children that is a pirate ship, and we would not build a deck on the back, but I would never build a deck back here because I've been in Holland Hills homes that have done that. And our downstairs living area that is below it becomes very, very dark, like a dungeon almost. Like it really, one of the reasons we buy these homes is for the light and for the windows. And when you have a deck that
Sure.
sits over those windows, it becomes a very kind of gloomy space, to be quite honest.
Okay.
So we are not interested in building a deck at this point ever back here. It's not how we use the house anyway. This is our kitchen now, but it's always been our kitchen, but this is our kitchen here. We have always used this as an extension of our kitchen. We intend to eat on our front deck. We do now, it's just we don't have room for a table. This is the space that we use, and this is the space that we are going to.
So it works
redo.
better with the interior
Right.
program.
We also don't have the money to fix this deck, which needs to be fixed or torn down or something, and to build a deck back here. So there's, there's an option for us for one deck, putting it
All right.
bluntly.
Well, so when you come back, if you could just give me a extension.
But let me just ask you though, really quickly. So you're worried about how far it comes from here, right? You would be standing.
Well, no,
I just want to make sure that I just want to.
That was just a number that I thought was easiest to measure
Yeah.
because there's the face.
Because it's about double. This part is about double and this part is about 4 times. You're correct. I can tell you that because right now it's a little bit more than 4 feet, I believe, and I think it's going out 16 feet now, right? So
Because when you presented it, you were like, our deck's getting a little bit bigger, but
yeah.
it's 4 times is not a little bit bigger.
But that's 4 times of this unusual, this is completely unusable. Come to our house, I'm happy to show you. This is not usable deck. This is like
Our purview, the board's mandate is not to create home that's
not to create
most
homes that are usable.
Well, no, really, that's, we want them to adapt to the needs of, and be understanding and considerate, but it's to uphold the historic character of the building and the historic district. So I'm not saying you can't get a larger deck here. I'm not saying that the deck can't be demolished because it's not original and it's in bad condition. I'm just concerned that the particular one you're showing is too large. But I'm just one vote on the board and you don't need everyone's vote. And we're not voting today, so we can come back with more information and we can decide then.
I just want to make it clear. I appreciate your input. I really do. I think it's just that when I look at this, I see it very differently than you are seeing it in terms of what sort of, I live in the house, I see it every day and I know how it sits and I drive up to it every day and I know what people see when they are looking at our home. And I understand that it looks dramatic here, but I don't believe truly, honestly, that it is that dramatic in person. That's all I'm saying.
Can you show the first slide?
But I definitely take your point. It is important to us that the deck be usable and that it allow us to enjoy this home that we plan to be in for a very long time.
Here, you can see how it's.
So this is not what you see from the
Yeah, that's
street.
from the property.
This
Inside
is
your
from the
property
neighbor's
line.
property. You'd have to be standing in the bamboo to see this. What you see from the street is this. It's that corner. Yeah.
All right.
But I definitely, take-
FedEx and UPS deliver on our back door because they never know.
if we're lucky, yeah.
That's why the steps will help.
No, I do. I like the switchback steps. I think that's a nice detail.
But thank you for your input. Mr. Pitt.
I'm really just reinforcing what Ms. Orr said earlier about health and safety issues. And I don't know if you've had an opportunity to physically see a sample. You might want to child check it and test it because while they can't climb, limbs can go through, and that might be an issue.
Well, he might be listening, but things go over and under. So, children are very ingenious when it comes to that, but thank you.
Mr.
What
Plum,
would you propose though, if I could ask really quickly? If we're not doing vertical wiring and we can't do horizontal wiring and this we don't like because it blocks the view of the house and we don't find it to be very attractive. And we don't want to do the wide wood balusters. We're really sort of limited in what we can choose.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
There's a historic precedent for metal picket
Yeah,
at Holland Hills.
Okay.
I was just gonna say the same thing, because the wire is expandable, and no matter how taut it is, a child can put his head through it. Trust me, it's only like a 1/4 inch wire, if that, whatever it looks like in that picture. Ms. Hammy said the right thing, like a metal spindle, maybe not 2 inches, but maybe it's a 3/4 inch or something.
When it doesn't bend.
When it doesn't bend.
Okay.
Okay, but what I was gonna get at is, I'm the landscape architect, and but yes, we should govern landscaping in this neighborhood. But I was gonna say is that I looked at Google Earth, which is an evil sometime, beneficial or not, November 22nd picture I'm looking at, and And it's an interesting composition here that your deck is coming out to almost in line with your steps off your driveway. So that deck's coming out pretty far from the house. Ms. Hammock is correct. It's out there. My concern, yes, the grades go down as Mr. Burns said. He walked by it this morning and he saw it. And my concern, not living there, is what does the underside of that deck look like? Because you will be able to see that it's going to come out. So you may want to explore somehow. And there's ways to build decks so that you don't see as much underneath. Let's say I'll slap some lattice underneath it, but we do cantilever the top of the deck a little bit so that it hides the shadow line, so it hides these knee braces if they need it, or the post, so it diminishes what's underneath cantilever, meaning you can go, I think, for code 2 feet out from the post, so it doesn't look so boxy. Right now it looks boxy. Just saying, especially the part that is where all the steps are and everything. So do a little bit more design work. I think you're going to get a better
I like that.
result.
It won't be lattice.
Yeah, but just do something architecturally sensitive because, Holland Hills is very low profile and everything. I just thought from the landscape architectural standpoint, hide what's underneath the best you can. Because keep in mind, you got sod there now. It's going to be, what's there? A bunch of toys collected underneath there or whatever, close to the street? Or is it somehow you got to make sure you manage that space underneath it because it's going to get quite large now. Convenient for storing things. And we would like to not see a bunch of stuff underneath here eventually.
So, I definitely agree with you. No questions there. There is one thing under here right now, which was a travel box for our cat. That's
gonna
below,
stay.
right? This, you will see when it comes out, is, it is, yeah,
4 feet off the ground, 3 feet, 4 feet under.
maybe 3 feet,
Okay.
maybe 3 feet.
But even so, if you can't leave the deck, you'll start to see those
Then you won't
posts
see
diminish.
it, yeah,
So
but we would never store anything under here. We don't now, and we would not ever. Just
let it in writing on your
have it
application.
on video. Okay. But that's not,
Okay.
yeah.
That's all I have.
But I take your point, and that's a great idea. Nobody had suggested before, and I didn't realize that was a possibility that we could cantilever it a little bit. I do want to just comment really quickly on the line with the steps. So, obviously this doesn't change, right? This line doesn't move at all. It doesn't move forward. So it is simply the coming out this way. And the steps are like here in relation to this picture. And it would not come out to where the steps are right now. Yeah, but I take your point.
Thank you.
Mr. Kalinsky.
Just a word of explanation. The drawings, your designer has the standard Fairfax County deck details.
Thank you.
Those were developed, there's a long history to it, but there was a lot of decks being built that weren't being built to code. So those were developed to simplify the process. And if you said, I'm going to build according to these deck standards, it's an overkill for what's needed, but it makes sure that decks are built strong and proper. The issue is it's ideal for backyard decks.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're creating on the front of this house shouldn't be a backyard deck. So all the details with the X bracing and the chamfered posts on the railings, all those things are backyard deck details.
Okay.
And so I think your designer needs to remove those and actually design the deck to get it to appear like that. If you don't
What we
respect
actually
details
intend to build.
on-
I
Won't
understand.
give you what you're looking for.
I understand. Yeah, I
So
think we
just
understand, right? What has
Some
happened.
advice
Yeah.
to help you, so when you come back in, we're not chewing that.
We would
issue
like to
again.
not come back more than once. And in fact, that was my follow-up question. We have to come back, or we can simply submit the new designs to you? Or do we need to come and answer your questions again? I'm happy to. Hopefully
There's a
we'll.
lot of issues here, I feel
Yeah.
like, that you all would like to see.
I don't want to say that it's not possible. I think it's pretty unlikely.
Okay, all right.
We can take an up or down vote. I think you probably see where that's going. Or we could take a vote to defer. We do have to take some type of action.
I think I vote to defer at this point, right?
Come
We'd
back.
come back next month. Yeah.
All right,
Having taken all of your points on.
Yep. understood. Is there a motion? Mr. Daniel?
I didn't say much, but I think they're Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB defer action item ARB 2026 MB 00026 located at 2113 Mason Hill Drive, Alexandria, tax map 0933200024 in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District for the proposed replacement deck as submitted and presented at the June 11th, 2026 ARB meeting. The motion to defer is due to substantial comments provided by the board that the applicant will address in the submission.
Is there a second? Mr. Kalinsky, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? It's deferred. Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
Have a good
course.
Rest of your evening.
Thank you. All right, the second item has been removed on the amended agenda.
That's, just to read into the record.
Yeah, that is ARB 2026 MV 00020, located at 9518 Workhouse Way, has been removed from the agenda. So that brings us to ARB 2026 MV 00024, the Workhouse Arts Center site redevelopment located at 8941 Workhouse Road. The applicant's proposing repairs and replacement related to general maintenance of buildings W1, W12, W17, W18, and WB01 at the Workhouse Arts Center. All right.
Hello, I'm Candace Hoskins, and we work with the county. I'm with the HGA Architects, and today we're going to be talking about the Workhouse Arts Center. The buildings we're working with are currently not inhabited. At the end of the job, they will not be inhabited. So what we're doing is we're making them safe, and we're making interim repairs basically for weatherproofing. We're effectively mothballing so that we don't have further deterioration.
And I just want to introduce myself. Frank Roberts. I'm the project manager for the county with Public Works. Here to answer any follow-up questions or assist Candace.
Always like assistance. It's good.
Thank you all.
We have a lot of slides, so if I'm going too slow or anything, let me know. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Workhouse Arts Center, as everyone I'm sure knows, former Lorton Reformatory off of 123. Next slide, please. Thank you. Historic Overlay District map. We are on the National Registry of Historic Places. We're also in Laurel Hill Community Planning Center. Excellent. Thank you so much. So the buildings we're working with are on here, W12, W1, and then in the back, grouping of buildings, W17, WB01, W18. Building 1, primarily exterior walls are brick, roofing combination of slate, wool, asphalt shingle, not much built up roofing, metal windows, wood trim. We'll just go through the existing exteriors. Building W12 near 123, exterior brick, slate roof, metal windows, wood trim. And then the grouping of buildings at the back of the site, W17, WB01, W18, exterior brick walls, roofing is a combination of slate, low slope built up roofing. W18 has asphalt shingles. Most of the windows are metal. The infill WB01 has wood windows, and all of the trim is wood on these buildings. First thing we're doing is working with potential safety hazards. This is W1 rather. At the front of the building, there were a couple of infill porticos that were poorly done sometime after the original construction. They are collapsing, so we're removing those. We're just going to remove them. Also, inside the building, there's some open wells, and we're going to fill those so that it's no longer a safety hazard. Potential hazard for W12 rather. There are some existing covers for the windows that have been put in, and they were put in improperly and they've cracked the brick. So we're going to remove those, then make repairs, and we are proposing different window coverings that will not damage the brick. Minor changes inside existing stair addition. We've got a ceiling that's collapsing. We're going to take that down. And also W17, there's some fascia boards that are about ready to come off. So we're going to take those down and then repair. Also next to 17, there's an existing retaining wall. It has about an out of lean about 9 degrees from vertical. So what we want to do is just stabilize this as best as we can without touching the original building and not disturbing the retaining wall too much. We're suggesting temporary reinforcement to prevent the wall from leaning and deteriorating further. Just pressure treated wood located on the interior side. Reinforcement will not be visible from the parking areas, and full repairs will be made in the future. So next slide shows some details for that. So literally, we're putting in some bracing. The only way we're touching the building is we're putting some bolts into the existing retaining wall into the mortar. And leaving it, intent is to leave it as is. We've got one little part of the retaining wall that had some repairs done to it years ago that were poured. It's falling apart. We will rebuild that one area, take it down and rebuild it to match the original. On W18, one of the buildings in the back, we've got areas where brick is displaced and has been damaged. So we're doing on this building all the buildings, we're going to be doing some selective brick repairs. On this building, you can see it's a corner repair where we've got brick falling out and around and down. So we're going to rework that. Brick to match existing, the original existing, mortar to match the original existing. Interim weatherproofing, we're showing the areas where we have built up roofing, and we're going to remove those, put up a 2-ply modified bitumen, and we will replace the copper copings to match existing. W1, W12, W17 all have slate roofing. They need minor repairs. We're not doing a full renovation. We're just going in, repairing what's needed where we're missing slate. New slate will match existing. W18 has the asphalt shingled roof. It's not original to the building. You can see where there are a few holes there. We'll obviously make structural repairs and put in new decking, then patch with shingles to match existing as closely as possible. This is for W1, 17, 01, 18. We have areas where we are missing gutters and downspouts. So what we're going to do is provide temporary gutters and downspouts that are aluminum, brown in color to match the copper, and of the same profile as what's existing. Also for these buildings, they're the existing entry doors. Many of them don't function properly. And so for the ones that we're using as entry doors, we are proposing to leave the existing frames, remove the doors, and then provide new temporary hollow metal doors and new hardware so that we can enter the building comfortably. Some of these you can barely get into. So we're trying to eliminate that concern. Some of these doors are original detention doors, so we will take those off and store them. And you can see the array of doors. They're utilitarian, but are original since this was a prison. It is what it is. Paint will match existing, and that's about it for that. Also for interim weatherproofing, we're going to provide temporary coverings for the windows and unused doors that aren't functioning as an entrance. These are going to be made of pressure treated lumber and plywood painted. Frame fasteners will be again in the mortar, not the brick. This is showing the proposed covering. It's going to be placed on the outside, go around the windows and the doors. So pressure treated framing, plywood cover, and we'll paint them. We're proposing to either paint them white to match what's existing out there, or a darker burgundy color red to match the brick. And next slide. We just provided details in case you all wanted to see them. Pretty straightforward, but there you've got them. Where we have broken windows or windows that are missing, we're going to provide louvers for ventilation. The buildings right now seem to be venting on their own pretty well. There's no MEP in the building, no working utilities. So for large openings, we'll be putting in like a 16 by 16 louver, smaller ones, 12 by 12. They're aluminum, and we'll paint them to match the plywood field. On the buildings, there are areas where we have washed areas of mortar. And this is happening at building 1, 17, WBO1, and 18. And so we're just doing selective repointing, not holistic repointing. Holistic repointing will be done in the renovation. We just don't want this to wash anymore. We want to keep it stable. Repair mortar will match the existing, color will match the existing, and the profile will be installed so that it matches what's there, but we're going to ease it in so that you just don't have a sharp contrast. We want it to look like a solid wall and not like repairs have been made. Mortar and color match existing. We're going to be using an type N Portland cement lime mortar for the repairs, and this was determined after material testing in 2025. Any sealant that we use for open joints will match the adjacent mortar joints, color they match adjacent mortar joints. We've got a lot of vegetation growing up around the buildings, so we're going to remove that, get that off the buildings. We have a few heavily corroded lintels, steel lintels out there, so those will be replaced. New lintels will match existing, and they will be painted to match the existing what's there, which is typically the color of the adjacent wall. The other lintels that are in good shape will just clean and paint because they're due. Terracotta copings. We propose to sound all of the custom terracotta copings. Prior to demolition, the original intent was to document, photograph, measure those, because in future renovations, the thought was that at that point we would go through and all full body repairs would match the existing. But it's a custom run because there isn't a Camelback off the shelf terracotta coping available. What we're proposing for interim repairs is if we've got loose Camelback terracotta copings that we can't reuse and put back for some reason, is to get an off-the-shelf unit that we can use temporarily so that we keep that masonry wall in good condition. So we're trying to put something up there that will last well, protect the wall, but the intention is not to keep it there forever. It's an interim. And thank you. That's the end of what we have for today.
Thank you. Any members of the public that wish to comment on this one?
Mr. Chairman, you have comments from BDHR.
Yes.
Would you like me to read those?
Yes, please.
Okay. With the conditions below, it is DHR's opinion that the proposed scope will not result in adverse effects to the historic properties and the conditions. Temporary measures will not exceed 10 years. Number 2, the permanent replacement of the terracotta copings on the parapet walls as off-the-shelf terracotta copings proposed for W1, W12, and W17 will negatively impact the character-defining feature of the buildings. Submissions of cut sheets and photos of new product options alongside the original tiles will be submitted to DHR for review. Number 4, mortar analysis for appointing will be submitted to DHR for our records. And 5, if any of the entry doors to be replaced are historic, those doors will be inventoried and stored on site.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. Right. Mr. Daniel.
Are those agreeable terms?
I turn to the county, but say, I think we want to just make sure for the copings, what they're trying to say or that I'm interpreting it correctly.
My understanding
They're
was,
not approving.
Yeah.
is that they want to see more of the coping was what I got
Oh,
from that.
okay.
Correct? Cut sheets. Is that what I heard, Mary Catherine, in reading that?
Could you repeat?
No, I think
Yeah,
it's
the
one-
permanent replacement of the terracotta copings on the parapet walls will be prioritized as off-the-shelf terracotta copings proposed for W1, W12, and W17 will negatively impact the character defining feature of the buildings. Number 3, submissions of cut sheets and photos of new product options alongside of the original tiles will be submitted to DHR for review.
Are they thinking that what we're replacing is permanent? I mean, you would normally look at that and say it's
No,
permanent.
because then they say.
No, but you said it was not permanent.
No, it's
So
not
we need to be
permanent. So we're
correct
just
on
trying to.
I was just,
Yeah, I think it's a bit confusing.
because the first one is just all the temporary things you're doing. There are a lot of temporary things you're doing. And then the second one seemed very specific to terracotta caps. And so that, I think, from what you presented, it sounds like these are temporary replacements until, so that seemed acceptable to me. So that's why I wanted to kind
You can
of,
approve it with a clause that everything is temporary.
And the temporary is defined as no more than 10 years.
Yeah.
Correct.
And if I may, when you've read it together, I think my understanding of it now is,
Gotcha.
so it could take away from the character, so they want to see what's there now. Have something compared to what we're proposing off the shelf to see if it's a close match, I guess.
I think it's that, and I think it's
I'm not
documenting accurately what's there, so if they're all lost,
Okay.
Yeah.
you could reproduce them.
Oh, it's not necessarily doing the custom run, it's just
Is there
submitting
one-
materials.
Can I, like with the doors, can you store any intact coping?
Oh, if we have any, the intent was to, if they're loose, take them, clean them, put them back.
It might be worth it to even just, because they're gonna keep weathering up there if you put them back. Maybe you like take one, two to inform.
Oh,
your-
yeah. Oh, I see. And
See what I'm
just put
saying?
it aside.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, just say inventory, like I
Yeah.
said, just take them off.
or at least
Oh.
one, in case they all are damaged by the time you're ready to do the full renovation.
I mean, we're not VDHR. We're not beholden to
Yeah, no.
VDHR. So
I'm just
it
trying
is
to
something that you'll
understand.
have to sort out.
Okay.
When we frequently find that we're not always in alignment with VDHR on certain techniques around these two complexes, but that's neither here nor there. My biggest focus, and thank you, these such detailed plans, the scoping details, the spec sheets. It reminded me of back when I worked at Port Belvoir and we did renovation projects and I demanded contractors put these things in because I didn't get to tell the lady who was here before that that's the problem. If the contractor doesn't have these guides, then they start to make decisions. My only one I kind of wanted to understand, this is more for the county, I think, and less for you, is in the spec sheets, it talks about who's going to approve the mortar. And the ultimate, when you do the mock-ups and everything, and it says the owner's representative and architect and engineer. Who's representing the county in this to make that? Because that is really, as someone who's done that, who's been the person who finally makes the call. You mess that up, then suddenly it's going to be so obvious later that you'll live with it. As someone who has
Right, and
lived with
not-
it on a
It's
building.
not just the recipe, it's the tooling.
Yeah, and so I guess
We do have WJE Historic on our team.
okay, so there, I guess that's what I'm getting into.
I
There's-
suppose that we would be bringing them
Technical experts to review the model.
out to do that.
Okay, that's only my emphasis is that to make sure those parties are there that they provide that input when that actually is done. So that while the masons are probably great, that, that there is also that secondary preservation waste voice to say, well, maybe a little more of this mix, a little more of that mix to get it closer to that point. It's not a substantive change in the documents. It's just a comment that I feel like is the most, like, if it's done wrong, you're going to see it. And It's the project manager, then you'll see it when it's done and it'll eat at your soul. And someone who's seen it done wrong in a building, you'll go, oh, wow, that's that project I did. And wow, look, you can see the lines where we did those repairs. Oh, every day when you drive by it, can we weather quicker, please? Anyways, that's my only, thank you so much.
So scrape the dirt into the.
I have Mr. Burns and then Mr. Plum.
Yeah, I interpreted what Mary Catherine read to us from BDHR a little differently than I think everyone else is. At the very beginning, they said that the temporary stuff is intended approvals of the temporary changes are for 10 years.
Right.
They're suggesting it not exceed 10.
Yeah, not exceed 10 years. But then, and when they started talking about replacement coping, I think they were talking about what your interim will be. That they weren't happy with just saying, we're going to get something that'll match. They want to know, show
You
us.
mean the final?
Yes, no, not the final permanent
Oh,
replacement, but the new temporary stuff that's going to last 10 years. They want more detail on it.
okay.
That's the way I interpreted it.
That's the
I
way
think that's
it's
right.
rated as well.
Yeah.
We want to see how close a match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gotta pick up that phone and give them a ring, make sure.
Well, no, but it's like, with our first presentation tonight, it's verbal versus what's on paper.
Right.
And they're saying your description of what you're going to do sounds perfectly reasonable.
Mhm.
Show us.
Sure.
That's,
And we can look at their finishes.
Yeah.
They'll have glazing. What's shown is not glazed, so we could
Right.
look at their glazing and I would think they'd have
Yeah, the
something.
person sitting in Richmond looked at that, said, well, it's not glazed, but
Close,
we need more
yeah.
detail. Yeah.
True. We did not go down into should it be glazed since it was going to be there 10 years, but they're right. It won't look.
Yeah, might as well make it
Right.
as best as you can.
Right.
They can formulate their sentence better though, too.
Right.
Oh, my God.
And I had one other question, and that is the work that's being proposed is described as repairs and replacement. But early on in your presentation, you talked about the porticos on W1,
Oh,
and you talked, we're going to get rid of those. So that's demolition, which is different than repair or replacement. So could you refresh
sure. So
or go over that again? And
with those
one more detail?
porticos, they were added, and you may want to go back to the slide. They were an addition that was added at a later date, poorly done, and they were caving in. We'll see the pictures.
Because you're talking about
We're getting
something different
close.
than the porticos that go all the way
Oh,
down.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's a portico to building one. I think we're getting
Bedroom
close.
entrance covers.
Did we go too far? Go-
Yeah, you did.
More like a vestibule.
Or keep going. We need to
They're
get
in the top.
further,
Down.
getting closer. Keep going. Sorry. Keep going a little bit more. There you go. Okay, so this is building one. It's a little hard to see, but because it's yellow, this is an infill that was put in later in life.
Oh, those things,
yeah.
okay, all right, now I understand.
Really
So sorry. the porticos that are-
It's barely serving as a
Yeah.
roof at this current point.
Well, you know, when you said you're going to demolish those,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh,
For safety, we're just gonna take them down and then.
okay, thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Plumpy and
Sure.
then Ms. Wong.
Okay, first of all, I'm on the board of directors at the Workhouse, and this has been one of my pet peeves, that buildings are falling apart in front of our eyes, and I've talked about this for the last 4 or 5 years. Joe Machat is in the, our funding person for the county is there, and God bless his heart, it looks like he found some money finally. But my concern is this, I think, the first repairs, the slate and everything was done 20 years ago, right? Approximately 20.
I think, but I
Yeah,
don't
20,
know.
20, I think 05, 06, something like that.
Mhm.
And here we are, fast forward 20 some years, 21 years, is nothing, the county, and no offense, you, sir, I'm sure you do an excellent job, which I know you do. But they don't do a very good job monitoring their buildings. We've had a number of things that come in and have to be torn down because of lack of maintenance, lack of care, lack of just supervision of, hey, you got these vines, let them grow up for another 16 years, we get poison ivy that has 2-inch wide trunks on it, okay? So I just think my concern is we're gonna put this money in here. Yes, it's only good for 10 years, but how long did it really last after we did the 20 years? Did these stuff started to fail after 5 years and it just never looked at, and therefore it kept up? Those broken windows have been there, or I think for 19 years, the first thing, and that deteriorates the interior of the building. Mr. Burns, I remember a long time ago, you say, These buildings have no heat, no electric, and no humidity control because of death, correct? For the interior space. Great, we do the interior, the exterior, but that's not gonna solve our problem from rotting from the inside out, in my humble opinion. I'm a landscape architect, but I also been around this place a little long too as well, and listen to it here, and also be on site often enough. My concern is we're gonna put this 10 years in here, and that it's just going to be money that's thrown out because the county will turn an eye from this after it's done, after 1 year, perhaps they'll turn an eye from it, and then just let it deteriorate again for another 10, 20 years, and back here we go again. We're gonna have to repair what we repaired and repair. At some point, these buildings can't take any more repairs. So that's my concern is, I would like to see if this plan is implemented, is have a county, a yearly maintenance check on everything, instead of just having it one and done and run. We don't want to do one and done and run. That kind of rhymes, so that's pretty easy to remember. So if we can just have some kind of maintenance program that you come back to us, or the county comes back to us after, if we approve this tonight, is have, recommending the motion that the architectural firm drafts up a maintenance program for the county to follow with a certified contractor of their specific trade, to look at the mortar, to look at the roof, whatever, and to ensure that it is being maintained properly after you do this. Because if not, it's just, we're just, throwing our money in the wind. And we don't want to do that anymore here. We have a resource and we want to protect it. And I think it's starting to neglect. Look at the power plant. You got the stacks. The power plant, let me talk about the stacks going 45 degrees now. That whole place is might as well demolish the building. I don't want to do it because it's such historical precedence. Look at what Elm Street has done. There's a member of here, of their thing. What they did on Liberty, it looks amazing because they had a developer do it. We don't have that luxury here, but you should maybe talk to them, lessons learned of what they did to prevent the buildings from deteriorating. These are bandages. We need sometimes more than just bandages. Sorry to soapbox, but the maintenance program is very important here as opposed to doing the maintenance. Thank you.
And we're able to do
Maintenance
that
monitoring.
with our historic architectural
Please,
consultants.
I'm gonna
So if-
strongly recommend, I'm gonna insist on that if we approve this.
This one, and then this one.
I see, and will come from a very different perspective. I see this project and also remind me on the project of the signage proposal, and coming from a maker background, when I see that roof coping and now like, I can do it, I can make it, they are a lot of makers in this campus. They are ceramic artists, they are glass artists, they are metal smiths, and they can do it. I understand the procedure and policy may prevent this, but if it's a 10-year program, I almost feel like you have the best hand in the campus. Maybe it's my fantasy land, but they're just kept going that way.
It is to match the copings exactly, and can we do it? Yes. I'll probably mispronounce it. We can do it. Other manufacturers can do custom copings that match the glaze, and that was the intention when the buildings are fully renovated, is to match what's there, because we can do it.
I was almost thinking the people in the campus can do it.
I just wanted saying that the artisans that the campus have the skill sets to do some of this too. I think that's what you're saying, Sam, right?
That's what I try to say, and I know it's a fantasy land, but isn't the building there was built by prisons?
Yeah. Prisoners.
Right.
Can I just add on to what she's saying? Is there, again, you have the former developer and sitting in the room tonight that did the other prison site, just adjacent to here, Liberty. Lessons learned, I would assume Elm Street, Mr. Perkins has maybe some resources that could help maybe guide you on a few things. Perhaps not, but just have resources, let's use them. Don't, good. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Good, go ahead.
And part of this will turn to our county representative because they have the scope of work that they gave us.
No.
We can always do more and would like to. We would like to do more.
I'm all good.
Any other comments or
I have a question.
Ms.
This is like an educational question that I'd like to know. the images of the infill panels at the current windows that are defacing the brick, how are they installed? Like, I don't want that's happened ever again. How are those infill panels installed
They were,
that they are making the brick fail?
they were drilled into the brick and they're close to the edge.
Okay, and then the expansion of the brick,
Yeah.
it popped.
It's possible.
Okay, all right, so we don't want to
It
ever do
popped
that
and
again.
cracked and, yes, so we're not doing that.
Okay, yeah,
That's why we
I saw your detail and your detail looked good and I was just curious, okay, what did they do?
I have Mr. Daniel, then Ms. Mann.
So this is less for you as a contractor for the county. I assume county, we can, and I personally, I don't feel comfortable with a motion that's going to direct the county to take a contractual action. I don't think we have the ability to do that. I'm all in favor of us making a motion that urges the county to work on a maintenance plan. But the way you described it, Mr. Plumpy, I think if it shows up as that kind of motion, we can't say, do this.
I mean, do another.
We can totally urge, but as this is a project that the county brought before us.
No, I got you.
I just don't want to try to constrain it because I see this. I don't know how long the maintenance that has been deferred so long. And I know that tenure, we don't want it to sit for 10 and not having to happen, but in this current state, so we're just going to pick on Mr. Perkins, he's over there. You're not going to get a Mr. Perkins to show up if the buildings are in the state they're in now. Even bringing them to where, even what this is going to do is setting them in a place for a developer to say, all right, I'm not having to deal with just getting the muck out of this building. Now I have something that's at least quasi-stable that now I can go into. So if you make a motion, which I feel like you might, it needs to, a recommendation to the county that it has a status check plan or something
Recommendation
would be my only
I
comment.
agree. Thank you.
Ms. Mann.
Sure. Well, following up on that, I think I had jotted down some ideas about what could be included in a motion, because I think more than just maintenance is monitoring. And I guess I just wanted to add, is the expectation, are you hoping for like an annual report or something that, okay, so I think I wanted to sort
Some
of,
scheduled monitoring.
okay. And then unrelated, but sort of on the long-term picture, how does this position the county to be able to sort of develop your list of priorities for the permanent fixes? Because obviously all of that can't be done in one fell swoop. This is a one fell swoop for the mothballing, I guess, but where does that stack things
I
up?
speak that. So this was we initially scoped the projects intended to be phase one of these buildings. Phase two was intended to be, at least on paper, we thought would be walnut shells similar to the W13 and 15 out front, where then they'd be positioned to bring in a tenant or opportunity to bring something into the spaces. So that was the intention. So we wanted to stabilize and make these buildings safe and secure to buy us time to then do that further development and bring these buildings up to possible similar situation. We can identify some potential tenants and get them to the point where someone could come in and utilize them. Now, right now, we are looking at other opportunities right now. There's been very recent discussions at higher levels to push the workshop faster to do something here. So I'd like to think you would see something next 3 or 4 months or so before the end of the year, a little bit more chatter about that and information and the way it's going. We hope to possibly do something a little more aggressive with getting some potential outside interest in the workhouse area. So I'm betting on we're going to see something before 10 years and hopefully sooner, but we will know more possibly early next year, first half of next year, I think, if that's how that's going. But I think going back to before that whole renewed effort on doing something here, the main focus was to get these to the point where they were not deteriorating any further and we would have something to actually develop with these buildings. So like I said, this is considered phase one of 2 phases to get it to the point where we can use the buildings. So this is kind of that first step, but hopefully with this renewed focus on the site, the campus, more expansive than even just.
Okay.
Are we ready for?
I will amend.
It sounded like Ms. Mangum had one
Well,
that she was postulating.
I could
over there.
try.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 2026 MV 00024 located at 8941 Workhouse Road, Lorton, tax map 1064010058 in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible district. Repairs and replacement related to general maintenance on buildings W1, W12, W17, W18, and WB01 as submitted and presented at the June 11, 2026 ARB meeting, subject to the following modifications. That the county include or consider inclusion of an annual monitoring and maintenance plan with a preparation of a brief report as a requirement of a potential contractor. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of the memorandum of agreement of the Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay.
Is there a second? Mr. Plumpy seconds. Mr. Daniel.
Propose a friendly amendment to that. Because it sounds like the motion as read to Ryan is leaving the option for the county to pursue a monitoring and maintenance plan. I read that correctly. Ryan, could you read that to me before I make my amendment?
So I have that the county consider inclusion of an annual monitoring and maintenance plan with the provision of an annual report provided by a contractor.
Okay. I would like to add to that, in lieu of any such report, the county will report to the ARB about the condition of these buildings annually. Thank you.
Do you want to set a limit on this too?
Do you want to set about 10 years? Would you want to have that here?
For 10 years. I
You're asking me.
Pose an amendment to the motion maker.
Amendment, sure, go ahead.
You got it?
So you're amending what you just said, Mr. Daniel. You're saying in lieu of a report that the applicant would report to the ARB.
In lieu of what Ms. Mangum has proposed, in lieu of such a report and maintenance plan, the county shall report annually to the ARB on the status of these buildings, is what I'm asking for. To clarify my motion, Ms. Mangum's is a potentiality that doesn't necessarily have to happen. Mine is this shall happen regardless. Since the concern of the board is the ongoing maintenance of these buildings, the only way to do that is to continually be informed on them, and so we don't have vultures hanging out.
But would there be a report with that? Or are they just going to say, I walked it yesterday and this is what I found
That's
out?
for the county to decide how they want to report it. I don't
But
think
they
I
have
can.
legitimate report. Okay.
Is that amendment acceptable to the mover?
It is. I'm not sure it addresses the other question about us.
We're going to get there
Okay,
in a second.
perfect. Right, okay.
Is that
Yes.
that's acceptable to the seconder? It is. Am I allowed to make as the chairman of this meeting? Does anybody have? Well, so that we can move this along. I would like to make a friendly amendment that any of these changes be considered temporary such that they last no more than 10 years. Is that acceptable to the mover?
This would be in addition to what we already agreed upon. Yes, that is acceptable.
Is that
Yes.
acceptable to the seconder? Okay. Mr. Johnson, do you have? All right. Is there any discussion about any of that? All right. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you.
Good luck. They're a great bill. They are. Every campus we do, yes.
Unfortunately, of course, that situation is described. If that happened, and it's still
I'm trying to most likely to obtain, which means gives us a foothold.
All right, that takes us out of items for action and moves us into items for workshop. Our first item for workshop is ARBWK 2026-00010 on the Laurel Hill Adaptive Reuse located at 9040 Powerhouse Road. The applicant is proposing alterations related to the adaptive reuse of approximately one half of building P5. Mr. Perkins, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I am very pleased to inform you that we have entered into a lease for the final vacant space at Liberty Market, the former penitentiary. The lease is with a local group, and they are proposing to open a cafe and a wine bar that is kind of an all-day concept, from coffee in the morning to a glass of wine in the evening. The plans that Mr. Keeney is going to present to you, they have been shown to VDHR, Tax Credit Review Agency, and Jessica Ugardi has given us approval. So that's what we will be showing you this evening. This is Benjamin Keeney with K&G Architecture. He is the tenant's architect, and take it away.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Good afternoon, everybody. I'll try to keep this brief. My wife says I talk too much, so do the hand roll thing if I do that, right? So I think we could just go through the slides one by one. This is just an interior shot, just trying to get some of the interior environment. As Jack mentioned, Cell Block Social is really it's kind of like a cafe in the day, and then it turns a little more casual and loungy in the afternoon, potentially have live music, things like that. So we're interested in taking that experience, having it mostly as an interior fit out, but there's also an exterior component to it. As I'm sure you've looked through the material packet, there's a outdoor dining facility that we're really excited about. We think there's a lot of potential there, and it helps activate some of the in-between spaces in between the structures. Next slide, please. So just overall contextually, I think we probably saw some of these maps, I think 10 minutes ago, so we don't need to spend too much time here. Then one more slide. Let's get into the overall map. So Cell Block Social is basically in building F5. It's over on the, you can see it, rectangle dashed, rectangle around it, kind of close to the main area. Next slide, please. The overall floor plan is basically just taking the whole space, and we plan to put in a mezzanine on top to look down over the kind of the casual dining area. In the day, it'll serve as extra seating. In the afternoon, it's a nice place to go and have a conversation if there's a live music event or something like that. So we thought that would really energize the space. And it also kind of puts a little cap over the kitchen area and covers up some of those utilitarian things. Next slide, please. The outdoor dining area, you can see it was in the plan earlier, but I think this image says a lot. Basically, you see the primary elevation. We're thinking of something really almost like taking the language of the windows, the fenestration, and making something of that type of color pattern, even the technology, and putting it out in between the buildings. This is, I think, one of your earlier comments on another application was that there's not enough fully developed details. And I want to, before we get in any further, I want to say there are no details on this on purpose. We are coming in with, with this fresh off the bat. We haven't even got full blown dialogue going on with the distributors, but that's in the works. Our thought is this could be built out of a pre-engineered aluminum stick-built system. Pretty straightforward, and they're really fancy. You can have them motorized, operated. Met with some guys today who can actually do stuff like this. So there's a lot of really fun technology out there. But I think from a historic perspective, we wanted it to not necessarily feel like a prison cell, because that's a very realistic concern on this project. Is you want it to feel open, you want it to feel industrial, but you can't let it feel like it's containing you. So I think what our team really has got a good path forward. I think there's a lot of promise in this. We basically want to have this outdoor space where it's almost like transparent. There could be louvers on the top that close and fold if it's raining and maybe keep the space in use. We're not extremely passionate about, all the bells and whistles, but we're interested in hearing, your thoughts on that and having a dialogue on this. Also, the side of the structure could also be open, potentially just walk right into it, not have like a walled off type of experience, so that it's literally like out, in between the buildings. Next slide, please. This is some of the just interior. This is basically the VDHR package. So we wanted to just show you exactly where we are and just try to be as transparent as possible. Some of the interiors you can kind of see. These are sections through the middle of the gable. Next slide, please. Then we have through the kitchen plans in there. But I think this is nice because you can see that the kitchen actually happens below that mezzanine. And there's some things in the kitchen that are going to come out of the building, such as the makeup air and the kitchen exhaust. We can go back, I think, when we get in the Q&A. I'll just keep moving this forward. But there is a kitchen exhaust fan on the roof. It would be like a slate colored gray type of finish and just kind of make it blend in with the roof line. And there's actually at the where the sections we're showing, there's kind of towards the top of that gable, there's an old attic vent, and we're thinking to run the makeup air through that somehow, maybe supplement it to make sure the attic's still vent, obviously, but that's something we're looking at with our engineers. Next slide, please. These are some overall plans, just kind of looking at filling out the space, and there I think is either one or two more slides. Let's go ahead and jump into those. This is really the kind of the starting point for that outdoor dining facility. The structure we're envisioning, this is an engineered aluminum system. This is by the Glass Group. There's other manufacturers, and a handful of people can do this type of stuff nowadays. It can be louvers, and it can even close off and motor, open and close itself and do all this fun stuff, probably through your phone, integrated with lights, heaters, all the bells and whistles. But we didn't want to really like spend a whole bunch of time trying to go down that rabbit hole. But this is the extent of this outdoor dining technology now, where we could have, people for the restaurant go outside, have a dinner, and there's literally a heater, and you can have your dinner in the middle when there's, snow in the ground. So we're trying to think about maximizing that outdoor opportunity. That is the last slide. So with that, I'll turn it over to dialogue.
Thank you. Members of the board, questions and comments? Mr. Daniel.
Mr. Plumpy had his hand up first.
No. You look up first.
Mr. Plumpy and then Mr. Daniel.
Thank you for a good, excellent presentation. Excited about the opportunity, and thank you, Mr. Perkins. To say, the arbor structure I'm familiar with, we're doing a building downtown DC, office to residential, same structure with louvers. It's on the roof. It's breezier up there. But question, did you ever consider putting, make this, I guess 3-season room, or what you want to call that, by putting glass walls on it? I just asking that.
We actually wanted to have a dialogue on that. Well, there's a couple things involved with it. First off, the price of actually having it enclosed space, and from a zoning perspective, we don't want to trigger GFA. We don't want to actually make an addition, I think was a large part of it. We're not trying to basically go through the site plan again, I suppose. I think our thought was that it would literally be like a 3-seasonal, like outdoor type of thing. And I think for the glass purposes, I would say like probably not.
Not glass, I mean motorized walls that come down.
They could potentially come down.
Something that are rolled up walls, like you see in tents.
Right,
You have a tent
yeah.
in the other place that has walls.
I need to have a chat with zoning administrator to see what kind of, that constitutes.
Well, it's temporary. It's temporary.
I know. Yeah.
I think it'd be great because, there's, say wind tunnels sometimes through there to be challenging to eat. But then also it gives you to keep the heat in it during the winter months. Just thinking out loud. I think it's fantastic. Ceiling fans, maybe to move some air and all that above.
That's what I thought it was too.
I'm excited. So,
Mr. Daniel?
So, yeah, no, I agree with Mr. Plumpy. I'm excited about seeing another business come into here because we can continue to apparently hold up this location to the other location and say, look what they're doing over there.
And they're gonna need more space soon.
Yeah.
so.
There you go.
So one of your conceptual renderings shows a different type of window. That's just a anomaly, I'm assuming, not the barred windows.
Which,
There.
yes, that is an anomaly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're gonna call a place, they have the name that it's gonna have, Cell Block Social.
Yeah,
You know,
this was really early,
Yeah.
yeah.
I figured so, and that's why, but we're in the workshop stage. I just wanted to make sure, sometimes things show up and ideas come through. I didn't think it was. No, I'm equally, because I think conceptually it seems like a great idea. The outdoor space, I actually like it being lighter because I feel like the metal and the other materials, I think works well with the prison setting. And I don't know if I love the glass. I like the idea that they're kind of constrained to not create more space and that doing something more structural, yeah, is better there. Also, it's no matter what, when you put something in here, it's going to stand out from the historic buildings. That's the thing. The brick monoliths that these are, there's already the Lidls and the other infills in there that I think do differentiate themselves all as well. So I personally don't, but as others have said, this is not a monolithic board, so other members may have different ideas.
Ms. Hammack.
I like the concept. I like that it's not touching the facade. I think you should have detail where you can offset a few inches. Is anyone from the restaurant here?
Excuse me?
Is anyone from the actual restaurant here?
Not.
Okay. So the name of the restaurant is Cell Block. Okay, but you opened up saying that you didn't want this to feel like a cell block. And I agree, but now I'm like confused. Like, to me, this reads like a jail yard, right? Like the open recreational space where you would like hang out, like, I don't know, like wait.
Well, that's why you call it the area, the porch is the yard.
The yard.
Oh, you're taking your
Yeah, and I
table out in the
was like,
yard.
I
Huh?
feel like
There
it'd
you
be
go.
cool if like this was branded like the yard. I mean, I'm not a restaurateur or a marketing person, but your statement like didn't gel with like what the concept of anyway.
It needs some refinement, admittedly. I think, I want to say that it's not like a prison with like the vertical bars, like the cartoonish, vision that you might have in your imagination. If you say prison, like that has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
It was more about the space in between the bars with this type of.
Right, and if you look at like historic images of this site, like there are dudes like hanging out. And so I think there is like a narrative there that's interesting. I think that when I was in New York recently, like I was really impressed. COVID has really like pushed the boundaries of these outside dining spaces, and like young architects everywhere are like very excited, I think, because they become really cool. And I think this is an example of that. And the zoning may have even changed to encourage these structures. So, and I would be open to a 4-season, like a swap of a different cladding material based on the weather. I'd rather see that than like outside heaters or like things that would clutter it. Yeah, so.
Look at your little tavern on the green in sort of.
Ms. Wong.
Maybe like a basketball hoop, some graffiti.
Yeah, I saw the upper corner, the section, and noticed that the framing height is at the 8'6". That's very modest. And they are not touching the existing building facade. That's, I'm in favor of that. Just one additional comment. I know they are two walkway connect this outdoor space with indoor, and they are small canopy above that walkway. And I almost feel that canopy, if the canopy can be lower to just above the door, and that really make those windows not interact with this addition, if that could be considered. Besides that, I think all the rendering look fabulous.
What if it's
Yeah,
what if it had sawtooth?
Can I ask you a question? So,
That'd be cool.
so So why such a low ceiling height, only 8.6? That's fairly low, I just thought.
We were thinking about keeping it low from just a competition standpoint. We don't want it to feel too big. We want it to feel small and intimate and.
This is just about that in here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And if you have a ceiling fan or heaters or something,
It's gonna be smaller, right, right.
It seems a little low, but.
It was intentionally a little low I mean, if this was not a historic building and, the facade was a high rise or whatever, just, or it's on a roof deck, then it would be 10 feet tall.
Yeah, like, or 10 to 12 feet tall, yeah, exactly. It just, I'm just thinking about practicality. Hey, if it works. But it's good feedback. Excuse me?
What if there was a slope roof and the lowest point hit beneath the windows
And it slopes up.
and it sloped up? I mean, you'd have to see like how visually impactful that was the facade, but
Right.
that would solve the intersection with the window. I mean, one of the defining features are these gable roofs. There is a precedent for sloped roofs. I don't know. It would get you more height, more air, and then put the pressure off the windows on one side.
I just think it's a little too low on the side. That's my humble opinion, but,
Maybe taller.
Other questions or comments?
We're gonna build this, 2027, you think, if everything works well?
Hopefully 27.
Mr. Burns?
Yeah, I would second with what Mr. Bumpy said about the height. The thing I don't like is making spaces that to me feel like the conference room in a Holiday Inn.
All right, excuse me.
But yeah, but you get my point. Is that area that you're proposing to cover with a roof that's only 8'6", I think it would be very constraining.
I think that's it.
Good.
I think so. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We're worn out.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, so that brings us to our second and final item for workshop, which is ARB WK 2026 PR 00011, Dunloring Elementary School. The applicant is proposing interpretive displays. Welcome back, everybody.
Good evening. Good to see everyone again. Glad to be here. We have taken your suggestions as well as the suggestions from the Street Commission as far as the historic displays are concerned. With me tonight is Tom Lee, the architect from Townhouse Associates, Kim Bayleader, and Vincent Turner from EHT Traceries, who actually did the panels. So I'm going to turn it over to them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just get it started. I mean, I know we wanted to focus primarily on the new information from the last time. We did take your advice and made a number of changes, but just to walk you through a reminder of the building, this is the replacement elementary school on the site of Dunloring, where the current administrative center is. Go through the slides. This is the team that we have. It's unchanged since last time. And then just to recap, we started back in the spring of 2022, and we're currently in the building permitting and site permitting phase. We intend to start construction here in the summer around, September, July, something in that range, depending on how quickly we get through the permitting. Keep going. So the building, obviously, it's a new construction building. It's not phased construction because there's no going to be on site. It does have a lot of high performance, sustainable design features as part of it as well. And there's a lot of site circulation improvements, keeping bus loops separate from kiss and rides and providing parking, keeping playing fields and so on. Keep moving through. And this is the existing site that you're familiar with. This is the building replacement where the larger shoebox portion of the building is the 4-story, and then there's lower roof levels going towards the neighborhoods in the back. And the road still aligns with Greenbrier Way off Vitalwood, and there's no longer any entrances off of Gallows Road. Yep. And then as far as the interpretive historical exhibit, one of the main things that we did last time was that entrance there with the broken pediment with the urn in between and the recessed jams. That is all being removed, salvaged, and then reinstalled into the two-story lobby of the new space. So we'll have the bricks around the broken pediment, the recessed jams, the door and the transom and the steps and the surrounding brick all built into that two-story space. And we're going to be taking that Federal Works plaque, which has already been removed from the building and is currently stored in the Virginia room. I think it's your request. Yep, we can keep going. This is the floor plan, and it shows you in that red area in that two-story lobby where the larger entrance from the existing building is going. This seemed to be well received. We also, since we've met, we had the Heritage Day on the Saturday, the 30th of May. We had about 40 people in attendance, and we've gone back and met with the Historic Commission about it as well. And there seemed to be a lot of interest in salvaging that part of the building and regrading it. We also demonstrated the exhibits there as well. Let's see. That shows you where the section line 4 shows you. Across from the monumental stair on that other wall, right past the large installation, is going to be where the exhibits are as well, along with the historic plaque. And then I'll let Vincent and Tim discuss the specific boards of the exhibit.
So this is just showing like where the interior plaque will be on the inside of the school here. So if you advance to the next slide, we'll look at some of the new changes that we have put in. I really appreciate the feedback I received from this board and the History Commission. As you'll notice, there are no longer essays on these signs. I managed to dramatically cut down the verbiage and include some new photos. So suggestions to have students on these. This is for the interior. So that way now students can see, hey, these were students, 60, 70, how many years ago. I also included the QR code, which was another suggestion received herein with the History Commission, and it does work. I've tested it. It leads right to the county school page that has the history of the school on there. I also cut down the verbiage for the colonial revival and talked about some of the other schools within the county that, also had those details were built around the same time. I tried to clean it up a little bit, make it, not so crowded. And I think it worked pretty well, actually. So go to the next slide, please. So the exterior marker here, it's going to be located through the blue squares, and that's got a grassy area out there. So it'll be good for people who are just walking on the sidewalk up, Gallows Road. They'll be able to just come and see what's on the exterior of the building. Okay, next slide, please. And then this is the exterior signage here. Again, it was hard to cut down on the verbiage here, but I think I managed to capture a good story here. One thing that was talked about in the History Commission, and which will be in the final iteration of this sign here, is I did a little bit more background research into the Taylor family. So I did find out when Lavinia Taylor died. That was November 20th, 1938. So that will go on the final sign that's put up. So that way it matches, because I had Joseph Taylor's death. I figured it was only right to have both of their dates on there. And then made sure that none of the pictures overlapped. That was another comment that I got, was reusing photographs. So none of the photographs overlap from either of the panels here. And I thought was really cool is I pulled out a photo from 1940 of the back end of the school. And then you can actually see in that modern photograph the additions that were put on and subsequent. And you can actually see all 3 additions that were added when the school was active. So just a neat little tidbit to throw in there. Okay, next slide, please. And there we are.
All right, thank you. All right, members of the board, questions, comments? Mr. Daniel.
I'm really appreciative how responsive you all have been to the feedback from both us and the History Commission. I think the interior sign is much more eye engaging. There's no way you're going to get out of not having to have some amount of text on this, because it's just a complicated issue to have to be explained. But now you've got something that even if a younger elementary school student can't read it, their teacher or someone else could quickly talk through it due to attention spans. I think, and Paul, as you said, showing students, showing people who, like, also it makes me feel like kids in the 1950s looked like they were 10 years older than they were. If those are elementary school students, oh my gosh, they look like they're in their teens. It's so, times were tough. Or we're just getting older. That may be it too. So that may be the fact. I also liked the little breakout on the colonial revival, that we're still speaking to that style because it is a prominent factor that this facade piece is going to be there. QR codes, as long as we're going to Fairfax County public school sites and the school maintains, that's really the biggest thing that you run into with QR codes, but it's the same with a link. I don't think there's any real way to escape it. The great thing with QR codes is you can slap a sticker right on top of the old QR code, a really good adhesive one, if it ever changes, instead of having to deal with a link or something else that may not be as easy for someone to follow. And the outside one, I think you weren't given a lot to work with imagery wise. So I think you've been able to modify it personally with a great amount of detail. I also love the Quonset hut stuff because I wish we did that instead of trailers now because I think it'd be much cooler to have Quonset huts. So FCPS, keep that in mind, for when we got to do some expansions. My wife's working at Skyview now, so hopefully no Quonset huts there. But no, but I overall, I personally think, thank you so much.
Thank you. Of course. We will be shrinking the size of the QR code in the final. When we put it on the actual sign, it was gigantic. And I was like, that's probably a little too big. We want them to look at the pictures, not necessarily the pixels on the QR code, but it will work. There we go. Field test.
Nice job. Nice job. I thank you so much. And for us who used to watch Gomer Pyle, those Boston huts bring back some strong. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think they look good. They look.
Vincent doesn't know who Gomer Pyle is.
I wish I could say that, but I'm a historian, so of course I do.
Sergeant Carter. And the Army's gonna have more to give her now.
I think I like the photos from a different angle since we always see the building
That's true.
head on. So yeah, good job. Now it's really gonna, have they started demolition? They had.
No, they're in permitting stage right now.
Soon. I think your
I
door.
got a chance to visit there and go inside. I had to go there for my son evaluation or something.
I was going to say that the exhibit interior wise with the doors, I could see kids sitting on the steps waiting for someone to come in the doors, which I think is really cool. So I know the doors are not functional, but the kids can hang out.
Will be a meeting place.
And it could be right. It could be a photo opportunity or whatever. Thank you.
Mr. Burns.
I endorse the suggestion that you reduce the QR code.
Yeah.
It's as prominent as some of the photographs.
Right.
But you still will probably need to put the explanatory text under it.
Yeah.
So that's something you have to figure out how to do without, because right now they fit in the overall design of each panel, but when all of a sudden one piece gets smaller,
Right.
you have to figure out some way of doing it. Maybe make the Quonset hut a little bigger or anyway. But anyway, good idea. Reduce the size of the QR code.
Thank you.
That's a real quick comment. I know we had to save some brick. What did you end up putting in the brick?
So the brick is going to surround the entrance that's being salvaged and moved into this space, and it'll go up to the roof line and to the adjacent windows.
Good deal. Just make sure you do the mortar test, right?
Well, it's not gonna be weathering inside.
Yeah, it's not going to be weathered inside.
But it has to look right.
If it is, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I did have a request. So, we could recap some of the ways that we've followed through with the recommendations, but it sounds like you have all those known. But we would like you to put in your minutes today that you felt like that we've met the conditions of the proffer to close out the process, just because as we go for site permitting, they look to being able to check off that, that this been satisfied.
And as someone who wrote some of the language for suggested proper language for this, so I think from a substance perspective, it seems like it is meeting the proper, assuming they are installed and, put in place. So I think the design, I think,
Like a photograph and a sign off when it's.
well, I'm just saying like the concept is there. I think you're hearing from us that we are happy with the content of the materials that you're proposing for these markers and everything. The concept for installing the entranceway in there. Assuming, and maybe the lawyer on our board would know the best way to say this.
I think what Mr. Daniel's trying to say, and I agree with him, is that what's been presented to us meets the proffer, and as long as what has been presented is followed through with, then the proffer is met.
And the proffer was technically for the meetings and the discussion and
Yes.
so on. And just to put you at ease, the relocation of the salvage entrance, all that is in the construction documents. It's all part of the bid set. It's all been bid already. So it's incorporated into the project.
And it wasn't a doubt of a nefarious deed of like, we took it and sank it in the Potomac and now you can't go get it. But it was more of a like, I think the proffer has been met to the ability you can without actually implementing those other steps, constructing those things.
It's a condition of them releasing the site permit to say that the proffer's been met. So it has to come ahead of the construction. Getting us
I
approved.
feel like what you said was the best way to say it.
I have a question.
Yeah, Mr. Petty.
Relevant to this. So at the History Commission presentation that these gentlemen recently gave us, there was some discussion about in part because of the Heritage Day and the connection with alumni, there was the possibility of collecting memorabilia and artifacts. And there was a discussion about including that in the lobby. I don't know if that would actually be included as part of, I believe the language of the proffer is exhibit, which is kind of non-specific, but it's not specifically a sign. It's not, so I don't know if that would be included within, if this is something that you're planning on following through with.
That's something you're gonna say, like a trophy case.
Yes, that display case is off that same lobby, and it's, we were able to get all the imagery from a 1978 yearbook that one of the students, I'll say, brought to the Heritage Day, which is interesting. So that is now in Fairfax County Schools collection of imagery, so that's helpful. But as far as the actual artifacts of other objects from there, I believe there's been any others collected at this point, but it doesn't mean it might not be.
We asked at Heritage Day, because there were a lot of alumni there, if they would, reach out to their friends. I mean, it's 60 years since people have been to school. So, I mean, my sister and I were talking, she's got every yearbook that she has, including first grade to college. Mine are all in a landfill someplace. So we're having some difficulty finding some things, but we asked if they had any, like letter sweaters or pennants or anything like that, because it was there was a full high school when it first opened. So if they, it's hard to find something back from 1930s. And, I recently had to go through my parents' house, and there's a lot of things that were important to them that weren't important to me. That didn't get salvaged, that probably someday I'll be regretting that. But at the time, it was like, I gotta get this stuff out of the house.
I guess really, I just wanted to clarify, there are display cases that are part of your design. Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that.
For context, when we submitted suggested language for the proffers on this, that was initial discussions, we'll have a display case. And I was always happy about that, but as someone who has a kid that goes to current school, that changes. Once the school is operated by staff, those cases will be changed and updated. And so I think particularly from our board, we were pushing for, we wanted something very permanent that, if one day the new principal decides, well, we're going to switch it out with something about this and that, which is appropriate because you're always changing out displays. This would be more of a static representation that,
Very similar to the end of Louise Archer, where they uncovered the end of the old original school. The reconstruction of the entrance would be there for the life of the building.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, gentlemen, so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay.
When it's done, I think it would be great if you could submit a photo
No, I'd love to go see it in person.
Oh, we'll have a big opening.
Yeah.
We
can have a meeting.
invited the alumni back.
We
So-
have a meeting
This
there.
could set a good example for other public schools. I think we might be dealing with this in the
And
future.
there we go. We'll hold a
If it
board
turns out-
meeting in
Have a
there.
board meeting, yeah.
All right.
Music room right behind the entrance.
Be glad to host you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you for being patient with us.
All right, we have no presentations, so that brings us into board and staff items. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes? Does anyone have any changes to the minutes? If nobody has any changes, Mr. Kalinsky.
Chairman, I move that the ARB approve the May 14, 2026 meeting minutes, pay the clerk, Brian Johnson.
Is there a second by Mr. Daniel? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Mr. Burns and Ms. Mangum abstained. They were not at last month's meeting. All right, that brings us to our treasurer's report as of May 29, 2026. The ARB has a balance of $29,842.91. Mary Catherine, anything to add to that?
Not to the treasurer's report.
Okay, nothing under administrative. Has that changed, Mary Catherine?
I guess I'll put this in administrative. I want to bring to your attention, particularly yours, Chairman, that the Virginia code has changed regarding FOIA, and beginning in July, you essentially will not be able to bring anything up for a vote that has not been published on the agenda prior to the meeting. This doesn't happen very often with you, as long as I've been here, but that means you can't come to the meeting and bring forth an issue or a discussion lead into something that would require a vote. So for example, if you're going to bring a motion to request money for a training or something of that nature that you might normally raise that night, it'd be better if you can let me know the week before the meeting at least, because we publish the agenda the Friday before the meeting. If it's not on the agenda, you can't take an action unless there's like what is it? There has to be very specific reasons, like being time sensitive, a closed matter. So.
Can you give an
let's just stay away
example
from
of
it.
how you would word on the agenda, us bringing up a motion to request funds for, like,
It's been we've had it in the agenda before that, it's Mr. Burns has typically been he's
Okay.
the most travel prone of us, but we've had an item for a motion for Mr. Burns in
Okay.
particular.
Yeah, and I mean, I usually craft that for you, so you just have to let me know the amount.
We just haven't had one in a while. John, what's going on?
I'll be down for July.
August Aruba, okay?
No. No, not unless something happens.
We're not for sure.
I'm not doing any special.
No, there is no for sure.
So what is Ryan writing right now? Board is bantering.
There is no for sure. We have currently scheduled we are on August recess, but that has changed in the past and I guess it could always change again. But as of right now, we are on an August recess. All right, anything else otherwise administratively, Mary?
No.
Anything for discussion, update reports? Correspondence and announcements, branch update.
Yes, I just wanted to remind you that the branch update's available on Ignite. I know a lot of topics come up in the meeting and sometimes they're addressed in that update. If it's helpful to you, it's there. One thing that I know is on there is the Reston Crescent Plan Amendment. It's coming before the board very soon. So that might eventually come back to you when it's the housing department, I think, that would bring it forward. They're asking for an additional like 30,000 square feet on adjacent to the HOD, not in the HOD, to build a community center. In addition to the housing that's already planned there. So there's a lot of topics like that in the branch update. And you can always email me or whoever the contact is listed there and inquire further if you have questions too. And the other thing I wanted to mention is I'm going to circulate a link to everyone for the Exceptional Design Awards. Submissions are due July 10th. I'm not sure, is everyone familiar with that? Okay.
Oh, I chaired the jury last year with all my architectural experience, Mary Catherine, and I was there to judge everybody's expertise and how well they did.
Yeah, it's just a project in the last 5 years. So love nominations.
I feel like Ms. Kelly should consider a submission.
it has to be built and complete, right?
She's bringing submission
No,
to
no,
us.
no,
That has to be a completed.
Yes, it does have to be something that is.
I feel like she's got a few
So,
under
like,
her
I
belt that
probably,
are built
you know,
now.
I want to
So,
have, like, nothing that I
Yeah.
review is
The architect.
done, really.
Probably.
maybe,
Maybe.
small projects.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, I will say, as someone who's also chaired it, that the categories that associate with historic properties is sparsely submitted into. And it's a shame because we do see some really innovative
We should
design.
like totally like bring up the church,
Sharing.
like
Yeah.
some of the great adaptive reuse projects that we're seeing once they're done.
Several times.
All right. Thank you, Mary Catherine. Any old business? Not for me. All right. New business. Not for me, but any, Mr. Burns, I know, yeah. Some new business, Mr. Burns.
I have something.
Just a couple of updates from the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District. The special permit hearing for the pickleball courts was put off until September. I'm not sure why. But that was scheduled for last week.
People want to give their ears a rest.
I
It's gonna be like,
I don't know
we want
why.
to get through pickleball season.
Yeah, also the new bridge over Paul Spring is now under construction. And so Mary Catherine and I selected the concrete tint color.
Form liner.
We didn't want it to be VDOT white.
There we go.
And so it's now it's a muted brown tint.
It's a little offended we didn't go like suburban or urban tint.
Yeah, no. So we'll see what comes of that.
Is it gonna be modeled or just a straight, look?
It's just,
Vanilla.
no, it's not cast in place brick or stone. It's just brown concrete.
Brown concrete.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
That's sufficient.
All right, Ms. Thank you. Okay, go. Mr. Plunkett.
Sure. Car show, Father's Day, Sally Plantation, 21st of June. That's national, it's on historical places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Daniel so moves. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Adjourn.
Are we still being recorded? Can you tell me when it's off? It hasn't stopped. Yeah. Okay, it's off now.